Welcome back to the Bumper Breakfast. Let's have that conversation. Governor Rotimi Akeredolu, who is, of course, talking for the Southwest governors, yesterday made his point obvious. But before I take his point and delve a little bit into what is said yesterday, let's take a look at that video. I like to see that altercation between the state governor, Governor Babajide. I mean, this is my governor. And my governor is amiable, very nice. Is the kind of person that will speak his mind, irrespective of what occurred. So before the meeting that the governor had with the Magodo residents and all the parties involved yesterday, can we go back to 2 days ago and talk about the altercation between the governor and the policeman?
The CSP will let it say.
Governor is here, please.
Governor is here, please. Governor is here, please. Keep recording, guys. Record this. And this is my estate. Calm down.
So, good afternoon, sir. So, my name is Sanwo-olu. Who are you? I'm Bimbola Oyewole, the Chief Secretary of Police. Where is your base? I'm from Abuja, sir. Okay, so we are not in Lagos State. I'm not in Lagos. We made this place our base for the purpose of this operation, sir. What is the operation? The operation is all about executing the Supreme Court judgment that has to do with Magodo. Okay, so do you have a copy of the Supreme Court? I don't have it at hand here, but it's been given to them ever before now. No. It's been given to the residents ever before now. No, the court order is not to the residents, to the government. So the government has been given. Yes, sir. Okay? Yes, sir. So whatever court order you are talking, which you are not even competent to know, which you don't even know anything about, is not to the residents. It's a case between the supposed people and the Lagos State government. Thank you, sir. So it has nothing to do with the residents of the state. Please, can you call your superior in Abuja that you need to deactivate and you need to leave Lagos now? Please. Can you call your superior in Abuja and tell them that the governor is here and I'm the chief security officer and that you don't have any business to be in my state right now and that I want you to disengage forthwith from here? Thank you very much, sir. Your Excellency, sir. I'm not here on my own orders. That's why I'm asking you to make a phone call and tell them, your superior, that I'm here standing in front of you. Make that phone call. Thank you, sir. I'm here on instruction of this Special Bureau of Police to the AGF, sir. And that is why I'm here. I'm too small or too low to call them. Your Excellency, sir, with due respect, sir, you can call them directly, sir. So that they will answer to you. So Inspector here also asked you to come. I'm here on instruction of Inspector General of Police to the AGF and to the General of Defense. I have spoken to the Attorney General this morning, so he's not aware that you are here. But we're expecting the call that we should send it. That's what I'm saying to you. Yes, sir. Because when I make the phone call, it will be tougher. If you can call and say that the governor is there in front of you, what should you do? It is not my duty to call because I'm too low to do that, sir. Okay. If you call... So where are your men? My men are here. They are all over the estate. How many men do you have here? I have several of them, sir. No, what number? I cannot precisely tell you the number.
Welcome back. That was the conversation that ensued between Governor Babajide Sanwo-olu of Lagos State and the CSP that led the men to Magodo. Now, number one point, they're not from Lagos. They're not officers in Lagos. They're not familiar with Lagos. But he was able to tell us two things. He was there on the instruction of the Inspector General of Police through the AGF, through the Attorney General of the Federation. And he was in Magodo. The governor was not aware that men, policemen, police officers were sent all the way from Abuja to Lagos, to Magodo, pardon me, and they are present, like you said, scattered in the estate. The number, nobody knows. Their position, nobody knows. What were they there to do? He made the second statement. They were there to enforce the Supreme Court judgment. And I'm asking the question, Mr. Fatunke, exactly what points did we begin to send policemen from the Inspector General of Police's office through the Attorney General of the Federation to enforce a Supreme Court judgment? Did we do the same when it was the case of releasing El-Zakzaky? Did we do the same when it was cases, Supreme Court judgments that were given? You know, there are so many of them. And I'm just wondering. But in this case, it had to do with property, it had to do with the Lagos state government, and policemen left Abuja, came to Lagos, took over the security of an estate. The state governor was not aware. He didn't even know where they came from.
Yes, to be seen, I might go on the other side of the fence.
No problem.
And maybe sound a little bit, what should I say? Shake the table.
The table a bit. Please go ahead.
The whole of the episode of what we saw in Magodo can be summarized under who is in charge, who is in control. Our show. And I see situations where the federal government, in the way Mr. President Muhammadu Buhari has decided his best fit to appoint, skill, positions of authority on a trajectory to make a decision that, let's borrow from Babangida, we are not just in power, we are in control. And if there is anything that has happened in there, forget about the logics about morality, the due process, and what have you. A clear statement has been made. Constitution or no constitution, respect for constitutional authorities, what is normal or abnormal, notwithstanding, we are in control, and we control from the center. You like it, take it. You don't like it, you might as well go to the capital H, you know. I don't want to say that. You might as well just find your way to perdition. That was clear. You may be a great contributor. You may be a state of excellence. You may be the most in terms of contributing to the center. In terms,
But it doesn't matter if you want to shake you, if you want to.
That is you. You may, when it comes to digital economy, when it comes to technology, when it comes to economy,
Revenue generation and the rest of it.
We are not taking that away from you. But overall,
When it comes to power,
all what you have, we can't compete with you in that direction. The only way is that we have the lever of control and we can do and undo, pure and simple. Now,
brings me to one thing I want you to actually speak about.
Okay,
you know, one of the reasons why I kept mentioning that they came from Abuja, the governor was not aware. Immediately that conversation ensued and I listened to it. It reminded me of what happened during the NSAS, and we're talking about who sent the army or who didn't send the army.
if that did not send enough direct control, I mean, let me step back a little bit. I remember when Asiwaju Bola Tinubu was out there on medical, and he made a statement in London. In fact, when he got back to Nigeria, he said he's very, very sure it could not have been that some levers of control were controlling things from the center, and they will come and unleash that
The
on
mayhem
Lagos.
on Lagos.
What did we find? Again, we are not just in control, we are in power. And irrespective of the way you look at it. Now, of course, by the time you go to these little issues here and there, it's an implication that just Lagos state government It could be any state or the federation. And
True.
people who are making and touting that if it was PDP's wiki, it will not happen. Don't let us continue to deceive ourselves.
Joy Nune's house
strategists
there was a siege on Joy
are
Nune's house.
pursuing a stratagem, and they are making a clear statement that we are not running a federation, and no matter what, we may be in the same party, we may be in the same boat, but we have the lever of control. It therefore means, to me, see, that hooded persons that went to Imo, hooded persons that went to the National Assembly, you know, and during Jonathan's, you know, well, is it Jonathan's time versus Buhari when he came in? Hooded persons are going around, and hooded persons can get into, now listen, any of the state houses where we have our governors, and they can be whisked away without a prompt.
Also,
now, when that is now then done, this is now the worst aspect. People now have the audacity to now then come that, yes, I did it, and there is absolutely
nothing wrong with it
that you can do about it.
So,
we are
Mr.
in a state of anarchy.
Another one happened
in Nigeria.
and I want us to, you see, all of these things are linked. So when they say it cannot happen to in PDP's weakest state, and that's River State, brings to mind exactly what happened in Joy Nune's house. I remember the last time our house was besieged. That was during the time when the NDDC probe was going on.
Yes.
It was the governor himself that practically came to rescue her. And asking the question, where did those officers, where did those men,
where did they come from?
where did they come from?
The difference this time, and that's why I told you I wanted to be on the other side.
But when she was there yesterday, the same thing happened to her yesterday.
Hey, you listen. And this is the reason why I said, when it suits your purpose, you use the instrumentality of law to begin to now make untoward things. During the Wike's issue, there was no Supreme Court judgment of 2012,
Yes.
which my learned Attorney General is basing his power on to come and enforce.
In
Number
estates, without informing the government.
Unlike during the invasion that you are referring to with Wike, the one of Lagos, hey, it's worse. Let me tell you, we had a CSP allegedly. We don't know his name, we don't know his rank, we don't know where he's from, we don't know if it's a
Don't
national.
forget that there is also the investigation going on with the judge's house.
He came all the way and acknowledged that
Made his base
Mr.
in-
Malami sent him. He had superiors
It's Inspector
at the
General.
back of our governor, yes, at that occasion.
Yes. His
Was-
superiors who were much more senior to him.
A commissioner of police that had just been elevated
To an AIG.
He had all the altercation, and firm was the word.
And nobody could call. You see, the interesting
All
part,
I am saying to you is the
somebody
fact
sent
that
you on an assignment, but you couldn't call the person.
it beggars logic that the statement is now being made to Lagos State and the whole of the Federation. We are not just in power, we are in control. And you know,
Actually, we'll hold
power
you by the
without
balls.
control is katakata. The CSP made a statement. I don't want to give it to him. It meant to Mr. Excellency, you have to call him yourself. Mr. Excellency,
I cannot
take
call.
orders from you. I can take his right.
It doesn't work for the governor.
That is the robbed constitution that we are operating. And People should now know that that constitution
And so when Nigerians now,
cannot take us, and the police act cannot take us
Uh-huh.
into any El Dorado. It can only. Now, that same constitution, as robbed as it is, in the mind of people who have conscience and morality, might even be used.
properly,
Yorubas say that "Tumba ran iṣẹ́ ẹrú."
wàá fi tọmọ jẹ.
If they send you a slave errand, you come back. That CSP should have done a bit much more and should have applied, in my
Much
own
more
sense,
wisdom.
applied what some people will call wisdom. Solomon, when he was confronted with something like this, two women came, and then what did he do? He applied some modicum of wisdom. Now, let me take you back to the predecessor, one of the predecessors of Sanwo-olu. Remember Fashola? Fashola, along the line, caught a military officer flouting the rules. Fashola had no control over that army officer. That army officer, knowing fully well that yes, I mean, he might as well just say, "I'm not going to take orders from you." What did he do? He gave a salute.
Because it's the government of the state.
It tells you, yes, we have a robbed system, we have a robbed constitution.
But some people still apply
it. It has gotten worsened. And under the nose of our president, who usually we want to stand aloof and says, "I don't want to intervene in this, I don't want to intervene." See, your Rome or your Nigeria is burning while you are smoking pipe. It does not augur well at all. I'm not going to go into a bit of the nitty-gritty.
Yes.
The point I'm just making to you is, yes, those of you in the South continue to tout the fact that you have economy, you have this and stuff like that. The only thing that we have, and we are going to hold on to it, and it tells you, I'm going to throw this in, and I'll keep quiet. It tells you that there are people at the helm of affairs, they are holding the reign of government, and they are making a point that under their nose, this thing that you are calling, let us restructure, will not happen under their noses.
So you, just before we round off this conversation on the Magodo standoff, now comes to mind when people talk on national television, and a lot of public affairs analysts will say, as the chief security officer of the state. It reminds me of what the PDP, the deputy PDP chair in Zamfara, was accusing Governor Bello Matawale of, that as the chief security officer of the state, he is not doing enough to
on a very good slight note, that statement made by Governor Sanwo-olu, I trust my Nollywood and my, what do you call them now, our comedians will go to town with it, and it's going to be a bestseller.
Yes, it's going to be a bestseller soon.
It is a statement to the fact that must the governor have to say that?
For you to know.
For all of us to know, for the CP, for the Inspector General of Police, for Malami to know. It is a sign of